everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am so happy to have you all here. This is the week 3 and week 4 weekly vlog, weekly video. They may be going together instead of it being 2 separate videos, just because I'm basically just now filming week 3. So here we are. I also want to welcome in the flowers. This is Phlox, this pink one, and then this red one that looks like a trumpet or like an outward expression of voice. This one here is Crocosmia, and they both are 2 flowers out of many that have really been calling me while I've been here in the mountains in Virginia, and they're just such beautiful kin. And yeah, I'm really grateful, and they wanted to be featured in this video, so here they are. And yeah, grab your tea if you have tea or a snack. I have holy basil, also known as Tulsi, in this jar. I'm gonna add some chocolate mint to it and some peony syrup. It's just to add a little bit of sweetener. There are thunderstorms happening. I just finished working and took my shower, and I'm just glad that I was able to get the task done before it started thunderstorming. But I'm super happy because all of the plants in the garden and in the woodland garden and the vegetable garden and the orchard can all just receive all of the hydration and nutrients that it needs, because it has been kind of dry the last couple of days here. So yeah. So good. Okay, so let's get started. Let's see what's been up this week. Well, for last week, week 3. What happened in week 3? Let's see if I put it down, if I wrote it down, if I typed it up. So week 3 would have started on the 31st, Monday. Yeah, so it looks like I was weeding the garlic, and I weeded the blueberry patch and transplanted the leeks. So I'll input some photos that I have. I also, I don't know that I've been taking a lot of before and after photos, but whatever I do have, I'll insert it. But yeah, so that, I think I showed you all a picture in the last video. The blueberry patch are all in this gated kind of space, and so there's a lot of like weeds and bindweed and morning glory that wraps around the blueberry, and it's important to get those untangled from each other so that they're not strangling the blueberries, which would then set it back in regards to it fruiting, in regards to it flowering, and just like also just stunting its growth in general. So that's what I was doing in there with the shovel, getting deep into the soil and pulling out the weeds and other plants through the roots, and then putting them in compost. And I also did the same thing with the garlic. Garlic actually doesn't like to compete with space in regards to like weeds being in the soil with it. So it's really important that whenever you see weeds and you have garlic or you're growing garlic, that you just take any plants up that may be within its proximity. And then I transplanted the leeks, right? So before the leeks were in there, there was some lettuce, but then the lettuce didn't really grow as like it didn't reach full maturity because it started to actually grow later on in the season, and by the time the sprout started to come up, it's now like summertime, and so basically it went straight to bolting, it went straight to flowering, because it was spring, I mean it was summer lettuce, but only a little bit came through. And so basically what I ended up doing, you all may see in the photos if I put them in there, that it's not a straight line of leeks. It's like I removed the radish, took out the radishes, harvest the radishes, and then put leeks in. And then you'll see kind of on the outer edge where like usually we in the row, like when we walk, the leeks then start to, I start to plant them, and to just allow for that summer, whatever the summer lettuce is going to do, allow it to just continue on for a little while there. So then it goes kind of out of the line, and then it goes back down and back in that uniform line through the rest of the bed. So leeks were planted on that day. What else? And then July 1st, we made peach jam. It was really, really great, but also it's like, it's a lot that goes into, it's a lot that really goes into the process, and it can really be an all day process. Right now, I think for those who are homesteaders, they are maybe starting to can, but I would say canning really starts in like August, because then, you know, in the fall, that's when we are getting the bulk of our harvest, the bulk of the tomatoes, the bulk of the peppers, the bulk of the squash, the onions, the well, no, onions, you can be taking out onions now, you're taking out potatoes now, but like whatever you're gonna be canning, right? A lot of that stuff, depending on when you planted it, will be ready in the autumn season, in the autumn months. And so, you know, you have people who pickle. So if you're pickling cucumbers to make pickles, or if you're making pasta sauce, or if you're making uh what's another one, if you're making jellies or jams, or some type of maybe you're making a ketchup or a barbecue sauce, or just whatever it may be, it's really, really important that we are looking at recipes that are like actually not just like, I don't know, to me it's a touchy subject, because people are like, don't use recipes that like are passed down to from like generationally, right? Or from just a plain old recipe that a family member gives you. But if to me, if it's been a recipe that has gone down a lineage, and it's something that like has been perfected in a way, and there hasn't been any health issues or botulism that has happened, I think the recipe is fine. But typically people, when they are doing these canning or this fermenting, or anything like that, they are looking at a trusted canning book or a trusted fermentation book, like recipe book, if that makes sense. So basically, yeah, it was just a lot of like prepping the peaches. We had went to the farmer's market 2 days prior. They were organic white peaches, and so we had to boil the water at a certain point, and then put the peaches in the water for like 30 seconds, pull them up, rinse them with cold water, peel the skin off, and then slice them, and then you put them on the stove, and then you add like pectin and sugar, and you wait till they reach a certain boiling point. The boiling point is different. All the measurements and the temperature is different because we're at a higher altitude. So if you're depending on where you're located, you have to switch your measurements and your temperatures for things, and all of that, just like you would if you were making a bigger, maybe you're making a jam, right? And the recipe only asks for maybe 4 cups of peaches for this recipe to fit into pint jar, like 4 or 5 pint jars, right? But if if you have a bigger family, or if you're making it for a community, you're gonna want to double that, or you're gonna want to change the measurement. So also your timing needs to change too with the measurements. And so yeah, basically, depending on where you are, your altitude, that also has to shift. And the importance of really like keeping track of timing and making sure like the jars and everything is sterilized is because really there's like bacteria and spores and certain things that are like airborne, or that can begin to create bacteria due to low oxygen, right? And so if you already have certain things like tomatoes or certain vegetables, or even certain meats or fish that is low acidity, then it's really, really important that you're maybe using a pressure cooker instead of just like water boiling it, or um, that you are making sure that the lids are on, like you want to make sure that the lids are on tightly. You want to make sure that you hear a certain sound and make sure that the lids have actually been locked in, that the air has been locked in, because if not, again, you can get certain yeast bacteria, you can get botulism, um, you can get all these different things that could cause basically you and your family, or whoever you are selling this to or providing it to, there's a risk of them getting sick. So it's really important when we are like interested in things to, and especially when it comes to food, for us to be thinking about the precautions and being safe, and being smart about it, honestly, um, and I say all this to say, like, don't allow this to basically deter you from making what you want to make, exploring what you want to explore. I just think it's like, to me, it's just really important to um, yeah, to be intentional, and to be safe, and for things to be clean, and for us to be paying attention when we're making things. So that also goes hand in hand with like when I make herbal medicines, right? When I make flower essences, it's very important for me to be intentional with how I'm sterilizing my jars, because I'm sharing these with community, right? And of course, and cleaning the jars, and all types of things, and also being in the right mindset. And so I think, yeah, it also has to do with how we how we take care of our plant material, how we're in relation with it, and yeah. So there's that. But it was a very, very that was the day that me and the host had a very like a heart to heart in regards to like just this new stuff that it was coming up between us. We had, there was like different things that we found um, were coming up between each other as we have been working together. And so I felt like the month of June was like great for like talking about conflict resolution and ruptures and repairs, and how to be with that, how to be with humans, right? Without shutting down, without attacking, without spitting like mean words or like hateful words, or being manipulative or defensive. And so it was just like another lesson, like being here, of like, wow, like I'm here and I value this person, and maybe there's a misunderstanding, but like how can we meet each other? Like how can we actually provide more clarity and actually talk through what's happening, and so that we can really see what the root of this is, so that we can move forward in the future and kind of maybe eliminate this from happening again. Um, but yeah, I think it's really important for humans to maybe us to find a way to get out of our ego and get out of like wanting to be right or trying to control the conversation or control what is happening. And also to get out of the way, like our own way of like of trying to like not receive feedback, because that's also important for us to be open to feedback and to be open to hearing where our blind spots are and how like our energy or maybe how we're showing up or maybe the way that we said something or did something is affecting another person. Because I think when we're able to maybe come to that place, we're actually able to meet our coworkers in a different space. We're able to actually like meet each other in a place of compassion and be able to see that like, oh wow, we're all human and sometimes we don't get it right. Sometimes we get it right, other times we don't get it right. But then how can I continue to improve my relational templates with the earth, with humans, with the more than human realm? And so it was a beautiful day of like things unfolding and us having that heart-to-heart conversation, and me kind of also voicing that I wanted to shorten my stay, and that was something that was new for me. But again, being here in this place, the activation was really being in my power through my third energy center, but also through my voice, and being able to speak up for myself. And so I just feel like I'm really, really grateful to have been here. And it's been a beautiful unfoldment. It's been a beautiful unfoldment with her and I. And I think we're just both grateful for each other. Oh, there's a ladybug here. Hi. Okay, but let me see if I wanted to say anything else about the peach jam. Oh, I ended up having some. It's so good, so good. The peach jam that we made, and what else? And then let me see, on Wednesday. Oh, if you all have any questions about the jam, feel free to leave it in the comments. On July 2nd, which was the Wednesday, I weeded the raspberry and the blackberry patch. And I'm trying to think, was that Wednesday? Raspberry and blackberry patch. Why is that not ringing a bell? Okay. Well, it says that it says I wrote that I did that, so I'm gonna actually go back in my calendar to see what I did that day. Not my calendar, but my gallery. So bear with me. That was a jam. Oh yes. The raspberry and blackberry patch. Yes, sorry. So I'll insert pictures. There's an area in the garden where there was a bunch of stuff, right? There was campion, there was the raspberry and blackberries, there was a lemon balm, there was calendula, nicotiana, which is flowering tobacco, passion flower, what else? Just a lot of things there, and that space needed to be weeded, and so that's what I did. I weeded the area. And so again, another patch of the garden that when the plants, even the plants and animals, especially cats, teaches a lot about boundaries, but also plants, right? It really can stunt growth, and it can really stunt um how big, right? How big the plant can get, if it fruits, if it doesn't, if it flowers, if it doesn't. And it can also affect the roots. And so it's really important that we consider the space that we give our plants and in what areas we place them, and also to pay attention to the plants that are growing around them. So that's all that I think I'm going to say there. And then on Thursday, which is July 3rd, I weeded the raspberry patch. And that is a large patch that is not in the vegetable garden. It's actually in the orchard garden. And yeah, they were being suffocated. Another plant that was being suffocated by another flower that was gonna go to seed. And so basically, as we say here, it was liberating the raspberry. So yeah, that's what happened Thursday. And let me see, Friday, what did I do Friday? Oh, I remember Friday. Yes. Friday, I went up to the house, and near the house, there's the sanctuary garden and there's the rock garden. And so near the rock garden, there's we have compost all over, like all natural compost. And comfrey, as I mentioned, and I think in the week 2 video, it grows very profusely and abundantly. And near that specific compost in the rock garden, there was a lot of comfrey, and so what I ended up doing is I ended up using the root slayer, which is a hand tool here that I can put all the way down into the soil and basically reach as like the tool goes all the way down to the roots. And so I was able to pull all of the comfrey up. And what we ended up doing with that and the catnip that was around that area is we ended up making a green mulch for the tomatoes. So that's what ended up happening with that. Hi friends, I am currently removing the burdock, the comfrey, and the catnip in this area here on the homestead. It's near the compost that is closer to the house. And basically I am also using this tool, the root slayer, which is really funny, to get really down into the soil to remove the root so that these plants hopefully don't grow here again next year. But basically what will happen is we are going to move these plants to the garden to be a green mulch for the tomatoes. So that's what's happening. Oftentimes there's nothing here that goes to waste. Even the trees that are cut down at times, those are used for firewood, and we make different like benches and tables here. So everything is like reused and repurposed. And yeah, and then after I moved all the compost, the comfrey, I then planted some more nicotiana. I planted some more just different flowers all in that area of where the comfrey had been. And then Saturday, we ended up going to go to see this lily pond. Oh my God, I'll put photos in there. It's so beautiful. And it just it's just another example of how nature and different plants and the aquatic can all live in an ecosystem. It's like an ecosystem within an ecosystem within an ecosystem. And it's very beautiful, and a lot of the lily pads were in bloom. It's yellow and pink flowers. And yeah, and so then I'll just finish off for this week. This week on Monday, we actually worked on the woodland garden, which is in the forest. So what that looked like was I cut down, well, not cut down, but they were already down on the forest floor, a lot of like long uh, branches. And so that was like chopped down into for firewood. And then the other part of it was we used to line where the bed was going to go for these it was over like 20 or 15 native plants that we were planting in the forest. Because that's really important to the biodiversity of the area, but then also native plants are really important for the pollinators, for the other animals, and just like within the ecosystem, like there's just this interdependence that's there. And ultimately we want more native plants than invasive plants, right? Because they add to the soil, they add to the richness of the land. And yeah, so that's what we ended up doing. And yeah, there were 15 plants, like I think it was mid-Atlantic, but also it's not just mid-Atlantic. It was very let me see, do I have a picture? Let me see. Yeah, so it's an Eastern shade pollinator garden. So yeah, a lot of these were considered our spring spring and summer ground cover. We had sedges, yellow ragwort, alum root, strawberry, asters and goldenrod, and different grasses, different flowers. And yeah, it was very beautiful. And it reminded me of how I would love to get more into landscaping, and I would love to get more into like doing installments for people, like homeowners, where it's like planting native plants, or even doing like a smaller edible garden or edible landscape would be great. So yeah, that all of that like kind of sparked me as I was doing that. So Monday was really fun. And even though I didn't have much knowledge about these native plants, it was just the fact that like I was getting to learn about them. I was getting to know them. I was starting a relationship with them. So very, very cool. On Tuesday, we went into the sanctuary garden, which is right beside the house. It's very, very beautiful. It has a lot of native plants as well, a lot of flowers, and a lot of like trees. We have like a walnut and hazelnut in there. I think there's also like a rosella, like a hibiscus in there. And yeah, we ended up just like trimming things back. Certain things that had mildew on it, we pulled it out. Certain things needed to be weeded and pulled out because there are certain ground cover flowers and plants that needed more light. We cut back and trimmed back the elderflower. We have so many elderflower trees and bushes here. And I also weeded all around and underneath the sanctuary garden, like the main area. And I'll also show pictures if I have them. And then today we were pretty much wrapping up. Today is my last work day here. And we put up the stakes for the tomatoes. So they're staked and they're up. And I weeded all around them. And maybe I'll go and take a picture. Also, we harvested potatoes, the onions, because what ends up happening if the onions and potatoes stay in too long and it begins to rain, they soften and they become mushy. And it's really important that like you take them out before that because they have to dry outside, and they have to, the onions and the potatoes can also, people put them maybe on a big blanket or a quilt and they dry for a couple of days outside if there's no rain, like on the porch. You can lay them out on the porch on a quilt. And then all of that goes into a root cellar once it's dry. And yeah, it's just been like thunderstorm after thunderstorm each day here. And so we just decided that today was going to be the day that we harvested. And yeah, that was pretty much the day today. 4 hours feel like they go by really quick here. Especially when you're playing in the garden like I do. And yeah, I just feel so blessed. I feel so like honored to have been able to be here, to come, to this land. I always say that whenever we visit a land, yes, there's tourism, and that's, a big reason why people go on vacation and go to travel to places. But also I think ultimately, even if, people don't know what's happening, we're actually being activated by the land, right? There's always like a reason why we live in places. There's always a reason why we travel to certain places and we find ourselves just so pulled in by the beauty, so pulled in by the sun, and by just like when people go on vacation or they go, for example, to Hawaii. It's not just that, oh my God, it's so beautiful and I get to go and visit all these different places and be on the beach and embrace the warmth. Like, it's that, but then also, like, honestly, that's the heart chakra of the world, right? And so also people are going there to receive heart medicine, to receive deep heart medicine, and to sometimes purge. There may be tears or something that comes up. Like maybe they get some news while they're there, before they get there. And so the land is working on us, right? But it's also important that we notice, again, as we're building relationship and we come more into awareness, that like it's also important to give back and to be thankful and grateful to be able to go to these spaces and be able to have the money to be able to go and to travel, and to, even if it's just like within your own country, it's just like, I don't know, just being respectful. And yeah, so I'm just like, in this space, I'm grateful, and I understand the impact that I've had here on the land and on the people that I've met here, and how so much has changed in all the gardens since I've been here, and being able to learn new skills, being able to make medicine, learning how to make the jam, like, and canning and things like that, and about, edible weeds and foraging, and just being like at one mint with nature and with the wildlife here, and the mountains. And I'm so grateful, and I'm so grateful for the activations of like learning more about being in my power. And I've been able to make some flower essences while being here, and I'm excited to work with those myself, and also maybe one day to share those with others. And yeah, I'm just so full of just awe and of gratitude, and yeah, and it feels like it's time to go. There's just like a feeling, and I don't feel sad. It's just kind of like, it's just a knowing, you know. And it's always, I was telling Anetta, the host here, about like how sometimes there's this bittersweetness of like, wow, I've been able to do so much on the land while I've been there, and to be going to all these different places and gardens, and to have helped. It really impacts me. And in a way, I feel like I've touched the land, and I've touched the people's hearts that I have come into contact with. So yeah, I think I'll end the video here. I feel like I'm just rambling, but yeah, tomorrow I'm just going to be cleaning up the cabin here, basically wrapping everything up, packing. I'm pretty much mostly packed, but like, yeah. So, and then ultimately I'm just like off to the next thing, and surrendering to where like life takes me. And yeah, so that's all. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.